Hello and welcome to Norwood News. Today is Friday, March 5th, and I'm your host, Krista McDonald. Earlier this week, Massachusetts entered Phase 3, Step 2 of the reopening plan. To learn more on how that impacts Norwood, we go to Health Director Sigal Reese.
We have seen a consistent drop in the case numbers over the last 4 weeks, both in Norwood and across the state. The governor announced that we will be moving to the next step in the phased reopening plan. We have moved back and forth as the case data shifts, and all the changes are linked to the COVID metrics. Effective March 1st, the Commonwealth moved forward into Phase 3, Step 2. This reopened indoor performance venues such as concert halls, theaters, and indoor recreation activities at 50% occupancy. Capacity limits in many industries, including health clubs and museums, were also increased to 50%. Restaurants will no longer be subject to a percent of seating capacity limits, but their capacity is limited by the requirement of 6 feet between tables. The 90% time limit on table stays is still in place, as well as the 6 people per table. Effective on the 22nd, subject to public health data, the gathering limits will increase for event venues and public settings, but will stay the same in private settings. Event venues in public settings may have 100 people indoors and 150 outdoors. Private settings, such as someone's home, remain at 10 people indoors and 25 outdoors. Also, subject to public health data on the 22nd, the Commonwealth will move into Phase 4, Step 1, which will allow indoor and outdoor stadiums and ballparks to reopen at 12% capacity limit. Overnight camps will be allowed to open for summer 2021. There are still other industries and operations that will not be able to open until further into Phase 4, including road races, street festivals, amusement parks, beer gardens, and nightclubs. No one can predict the future. Our vaccination numbers continue to climb, but we are seeing new, more contagious variants in circulation. As a state, we will watch the public health data and adjust through the phased plan as needed.
Thanks, Sigal. It was a busy week for the men and women at the Norwood Police Department. Earlier in the week, officers and detectives made a drug arrest of a male subject selling fentanyl. Chief Brooks explains more.
This week, our detectives executed a search warrant at 226 Rock Street in a case that they've been looking at for a while. We received a number of complaints from people who live in the area about ongoing traffic in and out of an apartment. We've conducted some surveillance down there and done some backgrounds on the subjects involved. The male subject has a history of drug distribution. He's been arrested by us in the past. The officers were able to stop a car leaving the scene and recovered fentanyl from the subject that they stopped. They then went back and what we call froze the apartment. In other words, they knocked on the door, talked to the people in the apartment, and then let them know that a search warrant was coming. Detective Green returned to the station and typed a search warrant affidavit, and then went back, and the officers, using the search warrant, conducted a full search of the apartment. The male subject was arrested for the sale of fentanyl and possession with intent to distribute numerous types of prescription drugs. We did find more fentanyl in the apartment, and we found prescription drugs there as well. So he's been arrested again and will be arraigned at the Dedham District Court.
Then on Tuesday, officers responded to a call about a domestic argument in a vehicle. After responding to the call, officers made an arrest.
We got a call of a so-called rolling domestic, where we received a call where 2 people in a car, a man and a woman, appeared to be in some sort of domestic argument situation. Our officers effected a stop of the vehicle and talked to the woman first and then the man. In the course of that encounter, the woman left the car and the two separated. And without getting into all of the details, the officers ended up with both of the subjects under arrest, and they recovered a semi-automatic handgun. So, we're very fortunate the officers were not injured in this. The male subject in this case has had firearms offenses against him in the past and is still out. So I'm just very pleased that the officers got this gun off the street and that they're okay.
Stay tuned after this break for more police news and an update from the Win Smith markets. Welcome back. Late last week, some exciting news came out about the Winsmith markets. For more on this, we go to Brian Boudreau.
Back in October of 2020, the Commerce Center located here at the Winsmith Mill Marketplace was ordered to close after numerous safety violations had been found. Well, there is some good news. Remarkable Cleanouts will be opening a new location here right behind me in the Commerce Center.
We're pumped. We got our new building here. All right, what we're doing here, we're going to move our main operation into this building for the time being. This is one of the ones, first building open up since the fire, since they shut the whole place down. So this is the beginning of the building of Winsmith Mill. It's a beautiful building. We're just moving stuff in. We got a grand opening coming April, I think April 2nd. It's the first Friday in April. Come on down. The whole town of Norwood, come on down.
Waters was unsure what would happen when the markets were ordered to close, but he's excited for this new opportunity.
A lot of people lost a lot of jobs and a lot of businesses, and I feel bad for that. And I'm just grateful that we're the first ones to open up. We're the first ones to begin this whole operation. We're the first one to come back. So what it means to me, it's like a new lease on life right now. You got to do something with the stuff. And if I can give you guys a great deal and it's gone, I'm happy, rather than throwing it in the trash where it's all going to go.
After a lot of effort and hard work, Building 26 is up to code and set to open in April.
Oh, they've been working on this for a long time. First of all, they started doing it over. They did it wrong. Town of Norwood came in, made them do it right. They put a lot of money, a lot of energy. They did everything right, and now it's passed. Look at this building. I mean, you're going to see the pictures on it. Look at the stained glass, new windows. They look great. New floor. I mean, it's nice to begin at this old mill that's, I don't know, 100 years old, to begin something new in a new building. It's just, I'm excited.
When they reopen, Remarkable Cleanouts will be open the normal business hours, Friday, 9 to 4, Saturday, 9 to 5, and Sunday, 12 to 5. For Norwood News, I'm Brian Boudreau.
Thanks, Brian. It is estimated that 1 in 4 American adults suffer from a diagnosable mental health disorder in any given year. The Norwood Police Department acknowledges this and has worked very hard to keep their officers trained to deal with a mental health crisis. Over the weekend, the NPD received good news about one of their officers who has been working in that field.
A nice event last week that Officer Shore received a commendation from the Training and Technical Assistance Center for Crisis Intervention Team Training, which is housed in Brookline. They recognized Officer Shore for all of his contributions, not only here in Norwood, but really statewide, around issues of the police involvement in people with mental illness. As it says, I think in the Facebook post and in the nomination letter, Greg is a certified mental health first aid instructor, nationally certified. So he not only trains our officers and trains us on an ongoing basis, but he's also trained across the state. I think at this point he's up to having trained in 45 communities, over 2,000 police officers, firefighters, and EMTs and paramedics.
Officer Shore was thankful, but also wanted to acknowledge the people and organizations that have gotten him to where he is.
Oh, honestly, I'm honored. I know that it was kind of a surprise. The chief got me off guard with that, so I was in here about to teach our troops, and he came in and gave me that great commendation, and what an amazing award in front of everybody. And I feel blessed, honestly. Like I said, the Chief Brooks has put me in a place where I've been able to spread a powerful and important message, and between them and my partnership with the CIT group over in Brookline, all their police officers and a lot of their personnel staff, along with the people over at NAMI, which is the National Alliance to Mental Illness, and also the people here in Norwood. We have a group, CCIT group, Community Crisis Intervention Team. It's made up of multiple stakeholders from all the main agencies throughout Norwood, and the people in that group have helped me give back to the community in those ways, those people who need the help the most, and that's really what we focus on, giving help to people who need the help the most.
Officer Shore's main focus is to train NPD officers correctly and teach them the proper ways to handle these situations.
When we go on those calls, we take our time and we show people that we care about them, And that's how we train our officers here, and I think that's what makes it unique. When I go and train, whether it's at our department or other departments, my main focus is getting across to all the officers that anybody of a person in crisis, whether it's a mental health, a substance use issue, anything like that, it could be their mother, father, brother, sister, or daughter, and we want them to treat that person like it was their own friend or family member, and that really is what comes across.
Chief Brooks knows the importance of providing the most up-to-date training for his officers.
We are, as I think I've talked about before, all of our officers and dispatchers have been trained in mental health first aid. Officer Shore has provided that training. And then a lot of our officers, I think we're at the point of around 40% of our sworn personnel have gone to a week's worth of training on crisis intervention team. And Officer Shore is one of the instructors in that program. So you can tell I'm incredibly proud of him. And I know that the people here at the department are as well. I think we're very fortunate that he's on our staff.
Congrats again, Officer Shore. That is an honor well deserved. Now we're going to toss it over to Juliana O'Neill to find out what is happening this week around the Norwood School District.
Hi, I'm Juliana O'Neill, and let's take a look at some activities happening in our Norwood schools this week. March 2nd was Read Across America Day, which is a national initiative to help encourage reading in classrooms, even in virtual ones. This week, we have samples of how our Norwood classrooms celebrated the day and also turned it into a school spirit activity. At the Balch School, Read Across America kicked off a month-long school-wide Battle of the Books, March Madness style. Each week in March, the students will read 2 books that will go up against each other for favorite. The books will advance to the next round where they will face the winner of another week until the ultimate favorite book has been chosen. One of our school and district's goals is to become more culturally responsive and aware. The selective titles are books by diverse authors about characters from various cultures. The Balch also had a school-wide Drop Everything and Read on March 2nd in recognition of Dr. Seuss's birthday. Students and staff at the Callahan celebrated literature in the form of a Spirit Week. The theme for Monday was Oh, the Places You Will Go, and many students wore shirts from various places they have visited. Tuesday was Cozy Up to a Good Book while wearing comfortable pajamas. Twice during the day, students and staff dropped everything to read. Wednesday was Dress as your favorite hero or villain from a book that you like. Callahan Remote students also got into the spirit of reading. Mrs. Richards' 4th grade Gold cohort happily shared their favorite books during the Drop Everything and Read time. Thursday's theme was Nonfiction Day, where students wore something that represented a favorite nonfiction topic. Friday is Dress a favorite character from a book day. Stay tuned for next week for photos. The Little Mustangs Preschool joined in the fun of celebrating Dr. Seuss's birthday this week by reading some of his popular books like The Cat in the Hat, Green Eggs and Ham, Mr. Brown Can Moo, Hop on Pop, and more. These books served as great springboards for some hands-on learning activities such as a Green Eggs and Ham rhyming game and interactive Google Slides rhyming games. They also used their engineering skills to stack cups and build giant Cat in the Hat hats. They also created some pretty amazing artwork inspired by Dr. Seuss's stories. Little did the children know how they were developing their fine motor skills, visual spatial skills, and their ability to follow multi-step directions while creating these mini Dr. Seuss-themed masterpieces. The Little Mustangs agree wholeheartedly with Dr. Seuss as he famously wrote in the story, The Cat in the Hat, "Today was good, today was fun, tomorrow is another one." The Coakley Middle School had a fun Spirit Week activity where students and staff wore different items to show their school spirit. On Monday, students wore silly socks, and on Tuesday, it was Team Color Day. Let's take a look. At the Cleveland School, 2nd grade scientists collaborated on determining hypotheses about which would be the best growing environment for a bean seed to germinate. Do you know? We will continue to follow this story. It was all about 100 this week as Cleveland students celebrated the 100th day of school. There were 100-year-old residents visiting, 100 pieces of puzzles to solve, and sorting 100 Skittles in various ways. Let's go to the Cleveland. At the Oldham School, the students learned about different types of birds and how they eat. They learned that you can design a bird feeder based on what type of bird you hope to see. The second graders then designed and built prototypes of feeders that might attract different kinds of birds. There were some very creative ideas. A few picked woodpeckers, which need something to hang on in order to eat. But a lot of them picked jays, which are birds that eat best out of a tray-style feeder. This year, the after-school program, Extended Day program, takes place at the Willett School. This means that at the end of the school day, the students move from their homeroom classrooms right into the school cafeteria. No bus transportation necessary to the Savage Center, which helps make an easy and seamless transition for children. The Willett Extended Day program always has wonderfully planned crafts and activities, such as marble art, painting, games in the gym or outside, as well as many free-form projects. One cohort recently decided to build ladders to go with fire trucks they wanted to design. These children had a practice fire drill where they rocked it. When they came back in, they decided to make their own Norwood Fire Department fire truck. The other cohort used cut paper towel tools, then fringed them before making a paint splash. Creativity, collaboration, and cooperation is all part of the work and play for these children. And with Dr. Seuss Day this past Tuesday, who can resist making a Cat in the Hat hat? And finally, in Norwood High news, congratulations to Grace Melster and Isaiah Acevedo, who have been named Student of the Month. Great job, guys. Well, that's it for the school news. There's something interesting happening in our classrooms and schools every day. Well, that's it for the school news. There's something interesting happening in our classrooms and schools every day, and thanks to all the educators who share their news with us. Now let's send it over to Brian Dunn with the latest sports news.
Hello everybody and welcome into the sports update for this week. My name is Brian Dunn and this week NCM takes their deep dive into the brand new season of Fall 2. We caught up with some of the coaches to get their insight on what is shaping up to be a truly unprecedented season.
March Madness in Norwood. No, not basketball, but football, girls volleyball, sideline cheerleading, and indoor, or should I say outdoor, track and field. These are the sports featured in the never-before-seen season of Fall 2, which kicked off after the conclusion of February break.
We were lucky. The coaches were up here the Saturday before it started, and we looked at the field and said, there's no way they're going to get it done. We came back Sunday, no way. We got up here Monday. It was cleared as much as it could be, and we got a chance to come out here on Monday. We haven't missed a day outside. It's been great. These kids have been fired up. There's been some cold days, and I understand it's tough getting up for those cold days, especially the other day it was freezing, and they don't skip a beat. They're ready to go. They've been chomping at the bit for 17 months to get out here, and so we're just good to go.
The energy is huge. I know the girls have been waiting a long time to play, since last year, and having that disappointment not being able to play in the fall. You could see there was energy in the gym, but definitely needed to get the rust off, not playing for so long. But we had big numbers come try out. We had some new players that didn't even play as freshmen that came out that showed potential at the JV level, so that's exciting. So definitely a good energy in the gym, and you could tell that the girls were anxious to get after it.
With these specific fall sports being pushed back until now, the wait was the hardest part, but as the kids and coaches will attest to, the wait is well worth it. Volleyball, a sport where other leagues did play in the fall, although the TVL did not, is excited to play as close to a normal match as they can now that they've waited out 2 seasons.
There was few leagues that did play in the fall, and there was different restrictions at the net and different other restrictions that we're not going to have to deal with now. Obviously, everyone's wearing a mask, sanitizing, so those things are still in place, but definitely getting close to the way volleyball can be played normally. Yeah.
2 interesting caveats this year involve cheerleading and track and field. Cheerleading will be without competitions this year, as they are only permitted for sideline cheerleading during games. Track and field, although the events represent an indoor meet, will take place on the outdoor tracks, adding new risk factors regarding natural elements. Coach Curran stresses the importance of preparation now more than ever.
Well, you just got to be more diligent in your warm-up. You got to make sure the kids do their warm-up properly, they get it in. During the warmer weather, you might be able to be a little lax on it, not as much, plus they're also more in shape. But now that we're coming we've had a layoff from cross-country. Even the kids that played basketball, there's a layoff. And for us, you have to make sure that they're warmed up, they go through the proper stretches, and just be more cognizant of that.
Overall, there's no shortage of excitement surrounding Fall 2, and as we've seen in seasons before, the kids enjoy the moment as always.
We're really looking forward to it. They're really looking forward to it. We can compete in every single game. I think at the end of the day, we're going to end up with a pretty good record, and it's just going to be fun football to watch.
Reporting for Norwood News, I'm Brian Dunn.
Some alumni news before I leave you this week. Pat Forrest, a name that's been mentioned here before, is representing Norwood in the NCAA National Championships as a member of the Virginia Tech track and field team. Virginia Tech crushed the ACC championships overall, leading by over 55 points in the end. Pat Forrest was the 400-meter leg of the distance medley relay team that took home gold with a time of 9:41.87. Patrick's team in the DMR and the 4x400 relay will be competing in the 2021 NCAA Indoor Championships at the University of Arkansas beginning March 12th. Good luck, Pat. Norwood is cheering you on from MA. And that'll do it for sports this week. Be on the lookout for posts regarding our upcoming live coverage. Norwood's home campaign begins with girls volleyball action versus Medfield March 11th. We'll see you next week. Kristen, back to you.
Thanks, Brian. In government on Monday night, the Cultural Council met and started off their night by going through their NCC yearly timeline and discussing roles within the council. After discussing the timeline, the council proceeded to vote on how they will be using any extra grant money in their 2021 grant cycle. The council ultimately decided to allocate half to the library and half to the Norwood Historical Society. The next Cultural Council meeting will be next month. The zoning board met Tuesday night and started off their night with a hearing for a proposed new garage on Florence Ave. The applicants withdrew their application without prejudice. With that being the only item on their agenda, the members then thanked Jack Perry, who is retiring, for all he has done over the years. Following the announcement of Jack Perry's retirement, the board discussed the news that Ramonda Morgan, longtime executive assistant, was leaving the zoning board. Each member spoke highly of Morgan and her time on the ZBA. Member Patrick Mulvihill had some strong words during his speech and ultimately made a surprising announcement.
And I guess my question that I don't have an answer till today is, why are we having this conversation? Why is she not here? Why is this woman, who is a valuable asset to our town, not here? Who loved her position? And I'm waiting for an answer from anybody upstairs. I'm waiting for anybody to chime in on this Zoom call. Give me a good reason why this employee, who is so heralded by so many, is not in front of us and is not in the employ of the town of Norwood. I'm frustrated. I'm mad. I'm more mad than anything that she is not sticking around and not with us. And I'd love some answers, but I don't think I'm going to get them, Mr. Chairman. And I'm quite frankly upset about that. Upset to the point, well, that leads to my next statement, that it was a hard decision, but it was also filled with, some good news on my end. In my personal life is that, as you alluded to in the past, I've become a grandfather recently of twins. My girlfriend Deidre and I, of 12, almost 13 years now, are ecstatic. But we're also cognizant of the fact that, we're getting up there in age, and we've got to, do certain things and have certain things to our way of life and for the kids' way of life. And it's with regret, but also some sort of happiness. And I think there's more regret and more anger now that I'm saying this because of the situation with Ramonda, is that I'm going to be retiring from the board as well with Mr. Perry. And tonight is my last meeting.
The next Zoning Board of Appeals meeting will be on March 16th. The Conservation Commission met in length Wednesday. The Commission's busy agenda included 3 public hearings and 2 certificate of compliance requests. The public hearings on Endine Trail and 49 Maxwell Ave were approved by the board with conditions laid out by Holly Jones, while the public hearing on 64 Puritan Place was continued for 2 weeks. The board expressed their concern regarding the certificate of compliance at University Ave and chose to deny the request at this time. Other business included the Conservation Agents Report and the hiring of a commission intern in the summer. The Conservation Commission is set to meet again in 2 weeks. The final meeting of the week was Wednesday's school committee meeting. Sigal Reese kicked off the meeting with her COVID cases presentation, as well as going into more detail about the recent directive that K-12 teachers, workers, and school staff are eligible to be vaccinated at local pharmacies and at mass vaccination sites starting March 11th. Dr. Thompson dove more into the projected full reopening of K-5 classrooms in early April, explaining some of the complications that need to be worked out, which include lunch breaks, quarantining, and classroom assignments. The committee is advocating to try to push the opening back until after April vacation to allow the proper time for implementation.
I recognize the importance of in-person instruction, and I certainly understand why there's a push to get more in-person instruction. But I just think that the logistics of trying to get this done in a month, I know that sounds like a long time, but given trying to get notice out to families about what is this going to look like, giving them an opportunity to make the choice, then giving the administration a chance to change classroom assignments, giving our staff a reasonable notice about their changes in assignments or their changes in working hours or any of that kind of information, and all of the physical moving stuff that has to happen. An extra 3 weeks would make a huge difference.
Yep. A big focal point of the meeting concerned the budget. Karen Sheridan presented the budget outlook, which includes district staffing requests that total 3.8 FTE or full-time equivalents, which include a requested increase in ELL and special education teachers. The committee concluded by discussing the 2021-2022 school calendar, as well as a memo regarding changes in the HR department. The school committee will meet again next week, March 10th. For complete government coverage, tune into the NCM Government channel or watch it on demand at norwoodcommunitymedia.org. Stay tuned after this break for more town news. Welcome back. Monday night and most of the day Tuesday saw high winds and cold temperatures across the town. Some wind gusts caused downed trees and neighborhood power outages. Dan Morrissey, Chief Operating Officer at the Norwood Light Department, explains their response and how power was restored.
A little before 10, we had a tree come over on Route 1 that Norwood Fire and Police responded to. So we responded there, and our line crews did a great job of removing a tree that had fallen on the 3 high voltage lines. In order to do that, we had to take an outage on the feeder for 5 minutes while they did the work so they could safely do it. That was done. That outage was from approximately 10:12 to 10:17 last night, on Monday night. And that affected the area of Route 1 from Ellis Ave to Walgreens and some of the side streets in there. And then a little before 12, we had a very large tree come down on Belmont Street that also took out the line fuse on Bellevue Ave. So what we had to do in that case, we got the Bellevue Ave back first. And one of the reasons for that was the antennas up at the cemetery. That's the two-way radios for police, fire, ourselves. So we had to get that back as quickly as possible. The other issue was we couldn't get onto Belmont Street with the tree there, so we hired Pathfinder Tree to come out. They did a great job of removing it. It was very difficult. It was all intertwined with wires, so they were able to remove the tree around 4 a.m. And we set a new pole. We had to straighten another pole. We ran new secondaries, but the primary back up and all the other wires, and we restored power to the residents on Belmont Street, Shattuck Park Road, and part of Nichols Street a little after 8, probably around 8:10, 8:15 this morning. So they were out over 8 hours last night, which is one of our longer outages. With the issue with trees, you never know. So the line crews did a great job. They stayed out there working the entire time. They never gave up. They just kept working, and that's why we were able to restore the power, I think, in as quickly a fashion as possible.
Thank you to the men and women at Norwood Light for working overnight in the cold temperatures to restore power. Next on our project takeout tour, NCM stopped in to visit Jal and Ayushma at Norwood Spice in downtown Norwood, where they cook up some delicious Indian cuisine.
Located at 655 Washington Street, Norwood Spice serves a variety of foods for dine-in and takeout options. Owner Jal Gamiri and his daughter Ayushma run the family-owned business in the center of town.
We have Indian and Nepali food. So we have a traditional Nepali cuisines where it represents our heritage, our culture, different flavors. We also have Indian food because my dad actually, since he's been in America, he's been working with Indian restaurants, so he is very familiar with Northern Indian food. So that's what we are trying to have here in Norwood itself.
Jal has worked in the restaurant industry since 1990 with many different experiences. In 1999, he came over to the United States from Nepal and found his permanent home in Norwood in 2015.
I'm part of the Nepali communities person as well. We have almost 12 to 15,000 Nepali live around the Boston area, and especially in Norwood have somewhere more than 500-600 Nepalis live around, and we, including some of the friends who lives around here, so we decided that live all together in the same town.
Opening in the fall of 2020 during a global pandemic, Ayushma explains how pleasantly surprised she was with the response from the community.
I didn't expect a positive response. Well, from my perspective, because I'm more up on the front, I was talking to customers, interacting with them. I feel like it's been a positive experience. Everyone has been willing. When we first opened, it's funny because we didn't even have our logo. We had like a little sign that says Norwood Spice, but people were coming in. They were like, oh, we want to try Indian food. You guys are the only Indian place like nearby. Otherwise, we have to go out into Route 1, which is really nice that people were trying. We actually got a lot of customers that have never tried Indian food that were willing to try something. It could be appetizer, it could be a dish. They've all been coming back. They've all been very positive. Especially in a time like this with pandemic, it's actually been very helpful. Like people are appreciating.
Norwood Spice offers many different options for you to get your food, and Jal is so appreciative to everyone in the community.
Also, I want to say, at the same time, we do allow to eat in dining room to the people. We do take out, we do catering as well. We will make the best price as we can. And I want to say thank you all Norwood community people supporting to my new business.
Check out Norwood Spice on their website, www.norwoodspice.com, or like them on Facebook and Instagram.
To be featured on Project Takeout or NCM's Living Local series, please email Megan, that's MEGHAN, at norwoodcommunitymedia.org, or call our office at 781-551-0338. Well, that's all for Norwood News. To stay up to date with Norwood Community Media, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend.